Good day, everyone. This is Manal Zainuddin, the founder of O.R.B.I.T.S Development Code and the Global Education Consultant. Today, I will be presenting STEM through my O.R.B.I.T.S Development Code, which is a transdisciplinary approach that I have developed over the past 21 years when I was a teacher at the beginning and then later a director. Now, first, to fully understand STEM, it is important that we learn about certain misconceptions. And I speak about these misconceptions in details in another presentation. For example, first, it's very important to understand that STEM is not about a specific subject or a textbook or curriculum or specific class. It is an entire process that is intertwined together. STEM also should not be a burden because it is scientific and it is usually noticed with difficulty, especially by teachers who do not have scientific background. Point number 3 is that STEM is not only about robots or about artificial intelligence and construction the way we know it, although it is all these 3 are part of STEM. But when STEM is already articulated within a school and then already demonstrated within the activities, then it will be noticed that it is all of these together along with other disciplines. Point number 4 is that STEM does not have to be taught and assessed the same way we do for all learners. And this is a very important point. Just like we personalize curriculum and instruction and even assessment of other disciplines, we can do that with STEM. And that's what makes it even more interesting and more helpful and constructive. So you can find more about these and about invigorating STEM through assessment in another presentation. So considering all this, I would like to present STEM through O.R.B.I.T.S. O.R.B.I.T.S, which is the acronym of the phrases, own your way, raise your standards, believe in your assets, integrate your mind and positive emotion in your everyday tasks, tailor to your needs and aspirations, and spot and solve your problems practically. When conversations about education start, we speak about curriculum and instruction and assessment. Now, this is how it has always been throughout the past decades. We had created industrial revolutions, we had developed machines, we had extended lifespan of humanity, and even travel to space. Now we are even thinking of conquering space. But nowadays we get all our daily needs through our phone applications, just a swipe on our smartphones, and even we can get our official papers issued online. And this is quite an achievement, it's quite outstanding. But the world is too fast-paced now that we are losing control, not only of our surroundings, but also of ourselves. And this is very critical. Now, avid readers, I am one, I'm sure many of you are, have finally started to decode and code, if we may say so. And when we say decode, we are decoding our history, we are decoding our cultural journeys, and we are also now coding our future. And within this process lie 4 of the essential disciplines. And this is what these disciplines are, what form STEM, which is science, mathematics, technology, and engineering. And when we dig deep into these disciplines, we discover that they are interrelated. We discover that they are interconnected in so many ways. Science, mathematics, and engineering mainly. They are the spine of the entire world, of the entire universe, of Earth and of nature. And when we reflect upon humanity's inventions, then they were all inspired by the natural world. And that's why we always say nature is our best teacher. As for technology, which is seen as the artificial one, it still works through codes, what we call coding, which in a way or another, it is a form that already exists in the natural world. Now, this is not our topic today. The main point is that we need these 4 disciplines, which when put together are named STEM in the educational world. And when we add art to it, it is STEAM. So STEM, as I see it, can bridge the way we teach and what we teach, and I'll explain that in details in another presentation. Now, stemming from this need and more from the demands of the workplace, of our community, of our growth, we need to embrace STEM and we need to incorporate it more into our schools. To do this effectively, there should be a meticulous process to take it from what we call combination and literacy to integration and fluency. So, and this is something else that I explain fully in another video. Throughout my long experience in education as an academic director, I always thought that we had so much repeated content in all levels, and that we are moving from one level to another. We are progressing, but in parallel lines, and we are teaching those subjects in separation. In other words, in isolation. We wasted our energies as systems, as leaders, as teachers, as parents, and mainly as learners. We achieved successes, and we are proud of that, but they are very shallow still in consideration of how we see humanity moving forward. I strove myself to work in depth, and I did that in my own classes when I was a teacher, and later in the schools I worked in as a director. But now, as we speak today, in this 21st century, and after all what we have gone through due to COVID, due to the coronavirus and all those changes, we are here today to speak about all the schools in the world. Unfortunately, a very limited number of schools around the world are implementing STEM. And that's not very encouraging. And I'm very happy, honestly, to think that COVID-19, despite its harsh reality and all those enforced conditions upon us as educators and educational authorities, we had to sit and we had to redesign our content and our standards. And this is something really amazing. I personally have been waiting for this for years, because now we have a reason and it is beyond our control. So school closures forced us actually to accept the fact that there are standards and there is content material. There are themes that can be either deleted or can be reduced or can be even weaved into other content areas. The point is not having less, which is a misunderstanding by so many schools when they thought that we can have less. The point is having the right material given in the right way. And this is critical, but at the same time, very effective if done properly. And the right way is the efficient way, actually. This is the way that leads to the excellent outcome that we all aspire. So if we ask, what is the excellent outcome? Of course, this is very broad, and it can be seen by many educators and many educational authorities in other educational systems differently. But we can all come together with a simplification by saying that we are all looking for those well-rounded lifelong learners and also gratified teachers who are proud to be teachers, and teachers who go to school happy every day. Now that's when we have to take those first steps. We have to, and this is what is the S in O.R.B.I.T.S refers to. It's spot and solve our problems practically. So when we think about our educational systems and our material, which is the first thing we have to consider, unfortunately, we are driven by the material. We are driven by the standards. We are driven by all those objectives that we have within our textbooks, instead of us driving the material based on what we need, figuratively speaking. So the world now, especially COVID world, is striving to calibrate this understanding of what is truly needed and discarding what is not needed in all fields and industries. So honestly, it's better to start with education. So rigidity now cannot serve us anymore. That's why now we have to ponder. That's why we have to ask serious questions that can lead us through this path and through this decade. And we all know that we are heading towards the vision of 2030, when we have a sustainably developed world. So in terms of academic growth, that is from moving from one level to another, reaching universities and then going to the workplace and even starting their own businesses. For our learners as entrepreneurs, for example, it is easy to note that all those subjects, such as languages, mathematics, sciences, all types of sciences, technology, they are essential. So why do we keep our schools as what I call the non-STEM schools, when we can endorse STEM and build it within the school environment as a system? because we are all teaching those scientific subjects, but as subjects in separation, in isolation, and with no focus on the end result. And in this case, the skills that our learners need are not present. We are seeking report cards and we are seeking high scores because we want to head towards the best universities. And this is not wrong, but this should not be our main goal. So deciding on implementing STEM gradually or fully will secure that those skills are STEM-based and can meet the requirements of the workplace globally, because this is the requirement of the global community. So it can be like two sides here of the same coin when we are studying for the traditional way of advancement from a grade level to another, because unfortunately, this is not something we can change, at least for now. This is the norm. And having STEM instead of subjects, we can have it infused in all the subjects without having to tighten up our schedules, because this is one of the excuses that school leaders or school teachers give, which we understand, but there is always a way to navigate through this kind of conflict. So teaching and learning will be valuable and reliable, knowing that our learners will be ready for the marketplace. Now, needless to say, there must also be some certain conditions to do that, and we will speak in details about them. But by setting STEM as a system, because that's more important than having it as a program, because it is not a program, it is not a project, it is a system, there will automatically be engagement from all our stakeholders. And when we have engagement and enthusiasm, that's when we can say we have ownership. And this is the O in O.R.B.I.T.S, owning one's way, owning our way. And here we are reaching the highest level of achievement. And this is not only authentic, but it's also innovative, because here you have an inner drive pushing you forward, pushing the learners and pushing the teachers. So here we start noticing also our strengths and talents, leading to believing in them and giving them space. And this is the B in believe in our assets. And this is another gain from an inbuilt system. That's why we speak about STEM as a system in our school. And this is when it can be most effective. It is mainly about having clarity about our protocols, about our routines. And this is so critical in the success of any program, or because it will be programs intertwined together to form this intertwined system. So along comes accountability, because without accountability, there will be no authentic, genuine assessment and evaluation for STEM as a system. So for me, as an education and quality consultant, I find that clarity and accountability are two of the major caveats of any system in the world. And we see that in schools all around the world. One of the reasons, along with that lack of strategic planning and similar conflicts and similar hindrances, is a higher level of engagement, which I personally call for in education. It is the mind-heart coherence. And what we mean by that, when we attach this value, this heartfelt value of STEM, when we implement STEM in a positive, sublime way, and when we think about our relationships and correlations as learners grow up and sketch their life paths, this is so much needed, because this is when learners will maintain balance and harmony, especially now that we have to take into consideration subjects like robotics, IT, when we are always driven into this digital world. This is when learners and consequently teachers will fall behind, and they will lack balance and harmony in their life. This is a crucial issue. This is the I in O.R.B.I.T.S, integrate your mind and positive energy in motion, as it was lately labeled by neuroscience. So understanding the natures of STEM is so essential if we really want to fully cultivate it in our schools as a system. And to better understand STEM as well, we have to acknowledge that here we have to move from just simple combination or combining, which is just the result of putting things together, into integration, which is the act or the process, which is in other words, we are making it whole. And that's so important. We are moving also from literacy, just knowing what STEM is about, just applying STEM concepts, to fluency, which here incorporates creation and evaluation. And we are all calling for innovation in the 21st century. So from a program, which is just a set of practices done traditionally or occasionally, because this is how it is in many of the schools that I've seen, to sustainability and embeddedness of these practices within the school system, this is the maximum that we can reach. And this is the perfect infusion into our culture and into our identity of the school. So it's deeply here connected to real world life and problems. And this is one of the most demanded skills, which is problem solving, and in particular, real world problem solving. So in order to be comprehensive, we have here to look at all our disciplines. And this is the T in O.R.B.I.T.S, tailoring to our needs and aspirations. So what we need here are those areas that we need to improve, which are which we all know and we can identify through some certain types of diagnostics. So this way we can focus on them and redirect them. And what we aspire is the outcome. This is what we aim at reaching, to be competent and to be truly authentic to our school statement as well, to our school vision, mission, objectives, and values. So that's why here we speak about R in O.R.B.I.T.S, which is raising our standards, because we cannot expect ourselves to cultivate STEM into high standards in every known way without putting all this together. And when we put all those together, here we can sketch this clear roadmap for implementing STEM in K-12 education, because here we are speaking about more than one level. So when starting from kindergarten through elementary and then through middle school and high school. And of course, it is similar in so many school systems. And this will be mainly strengthened by assessment as well, because assessment is what directs instruction and the overall system. So putting all these together, we can sketch this clear roadmap to implement STEM as a system in our schools in K-12. And this starts with kindergarten to elementary to middle school and high school. And it, of course, varies from a system to another. And this will mainly be strengthened by assessment, because we all know that what we assess is something that we can measure, and what we can measure is something that we can prove and evaluate and then improve. So whether STEM is present in our school or it is still being initiated, there are three phases: the intervention, the capacity building, and the sustainability and embeddedness. And I speak about that in another presentation. The link will be included in the description. Thank you.